Hey guys, good morning. This is Shang-Chi. How you guys doing, guys and gals? How are you doing? Today I would like to start talking about my first fighting game that I ever played in my life. I believe I was around 6 or 7 years old. I was at a family member's house and we were playing a game called Street Fighter 2. And I'll tell you a funny thing. I wasn't a gamer at the time, and I actually didn't know what a video game was. And when my family was talking about Street Fighter, I thought they were pronouncing it as Street Fire. And I was like, what is Street Fire? What a weird name. And they were just telling me about how cool it was. It was based on martial arts. There were really cool characters, really cool movesets, and the stages looked amazing. And when we sat down and we played the Super Nintendo version, I believe it was World Warrior, if I'm not mistaken. My brain is a little foggy. It was a long time ago. Maybe it was Championship Edition. I don't remember. But I remember I saw the amazing artwork on the character select screen. And Chun Li immediately grabbed my attention. She wore a very beautiful blue Ki Piao dress. I think that's how you pronounce it, Mandarin dress. 20th century, by the way. It looked very unique. It was cut a certain way. She looked very original for a character. And I became obsessed with Chun Li. And by the way, I love every character in Street Fighter 2, but Chun Li stood out the most to me. Her face just looked very powerful, very strong, very beautiful. I believe it was the turbo version because in that version, she looked a little older than the World Warrior version. Um, and yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. I was mashing buttons. I was having the time of my life. My family was having a good time playing the game, lots of smiles, lots of laughter. And I remember they were telling me how good I was because they weren't able to defeat Vega in arcade mode. But I think back then it was called one player, our game start or something. I can't remember. But technically it was arcade mode. And I remember um, they passed the controller to me, and I went against Vega, chose Chun Li, and they were telling me how amazing I was doing playing as Chun Li. I didn't win, but I gave Vega the computer, what they call AI these days, artificial intelligence, a run for its money, and I have fond memories. I remember um, I didn't pull off any of Chun-Li moves. No spinning bird kick, no Kikoken, no Hayakaresu Kyaku. I was just mashing the punch and kick buttons. I'm not sure if I pulled off a throw. Um, but yeah, I do remember being obsessed and telling my parents how bad I want to have Street Fighter 2 on my Super Nintendo that my grandmother gave me for Christmas, our family for Christmas, and I played it every weekend. On my off days from school, I was allowed to play games on Saturdays and Sundays. And oh man, I had so much fun renting that game from Blockbuster. And then we got the game. Me and my sibling, we got it for Christmas. And we played it 24/7 nonstop. We were reading the instruction booklet, the character move sets. And I remember being so frustrated not being able to pull off a spinning bird kick, a Kikoken, a Hayakaresu Kyaku. And I remember saying it's really easy to play with Ken and Ryu, because, down forward fireball, right down, downward towards, down towards punch button, that's not difficult to pull off. But for Chun Li, you have to literally press left, diagonal down, left, down, diagonal down, down, right, right, and a punch button for her to throw a fireball. It was really funny because my sibling would always say, you know, Chun Li's fireball looks like uh, purple Kool Aid, blue Kool Aid. It's really funny. Um, it was in the turbo version where it was like a bluish fireball. Look really cool looking. And by the way, I think Capcom made a reference to that fireball, the turbo version in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. I noticed that it looked nothing like the Super Street Fighter 2 version. And speaking of Super Street Fighter 2, um, I thought it was really cool. They added three new characters: Cammy, T Hawk, Fei Long. Cammy, another favorite character of mine, I was obsessed with. Um, and the new stages were breathtaking as well. But going back to Street Fighter 2, the original Street Fighter 2, I got to play the arcade version of the World Warrior at a local arcade at the mall. And I saw the original characters in that particular version, which is the first version of Street Fighter 2. Very impressed by the graphics. The characters look taller, graphics look brighter. The stage backgrounds were actually moving, like Honda, Edmund Honda, E Honda, aka his um his I think it's like a bath. I forgot what it was called, like a sauna stage. I forgot what it's called, but it actually exists in Japan, and you can see the water moving back and forth on the stage. And like little details like that was really cool. And there was another stage background that moves. I can't remember what it was on the top of my head. Um, but yeah, it was amazing. It was incredible. I did pretty well on my arcade run, the arcade cabinets. I did not do well using a joystick. I have improved over the years, but it was a struggle back then for a 2D fighting game. And I remember I reached Zangief, or is it pronounced Zangief? And I automatically lost because Chun Li doesn't have a projectile in the original Street Fighter II World Warrior. And so I got close to my opponent. I was just a beginner at the time. And when I got close to the opponent, Zangief would use the pile driver, the 360 throw move, which would literally take half of your life away. And I remember just putting the quarters in constantly, getting the game overs. And I'm laughing, but those are precious memories of my youth. And I remember over the years, I would just keep practicing on my Super Nintendo version, and I would get better and better. The older I got, the easier the moves were to pull off. Just really good memories. And by the way, I would try all of the characters. All of the characters were fun to use. All of the characters were very innovative, had their own personalities, their own character endings. I would try really hard to get all of the endings for all of the characters. The final boss, M. Bison, was a pain. I remember it would take me hours to defeat Bison with one character. And and speaking as of today, it's no problem for me to defeat Bison now. But back then, as a beginner, Bison was a nightmare. And Street Fighter 2 did it really big. The characters endings were very detailed. It did a good job telling their backstories. The soundtrack is phenomenal. Um, Yoko Shimamura, I think I said her name right. She is a legend. She went off to do amazing things, other game franchises like Parasite Eve, um, Kingdom Hearts, to name a few, but Street Fighter 2 to this day, that soundtrack is a 10 out of 10. People love it, people go crazy over it. But yeah, Street Fighter 2 to this day, I give it a 10 out of 10. It definitely put fighting games on the map. And the announcer in the World Warrior, the Turbo versions, is underrated. He was amazing. The announcer that took his place in Super Street Fighter 2 was cool, but definitely the original announcer before him was way more memorable. But that's my video on Street Fighter 2. I definitely will do more videos on Street Fighter. It's an amazing game franchise that saved my life. This is Shang-Chi. Have a good day. Y'all take care. Be good to each other. Love you.